Hi, and welcome to Career Mobility with James Mcilvena in September. James, how are you?
I am particularly well, thank you, TJ, despite some later than normal nights, enjoying watching the feats of our Olympic and Paralympic athletes.
Yeah, it has been so amazing. I mean, the backdrop of Paris doesn't hurt at all. But yeah, the action in all of the different sports, as you say, across the Olympics and the Paralympics have been phenomenal. What have you been enjoying the most?
I think it's the stories,
Mm,
so it's one thing and it's great. There's medal tallies in Australia, you always punches above its weight. And so we enjoy all of that stuff. But the stuff that really gets to me and makes me enjoy it is, it's the drama of the sport. It's the comeback story. It's the person who did better than what they did 4 years ago because they've put the extra yards in and they've dedicated the time and effort because they know what it takes to succeed at that level. And then it's the support of the families and the story
mm,
about, the family involvement, be that the Foxes, in the amazing achievements they had in the canoeing, or
yeah.
be it the Paralympic families, where the level of support and the village-like mentality to achieve the success is, truly inspirational.
Yeah, it really is. It makes me feel quite emotional actually, because the journeys that those individuals have been on to get where they are, and then to achieve Olympic sort of results is just extraordinary. I think even to be there is a result in itself, but to actually obviously be in the medal tallies and things like that also incredible. And as you say, it doesn't happen on their own. Like that is, they have to do the work, but there's a village of people around them and family that support them to get there.
Yeah, and look, and not every outcome is like a gold edge top of the podium outcome. Like I
Yeah.
found one of the bits that really sticks out to me is Harry Garside's interview after he was knocked out of the boxing, right?
Yeah.
And here is a person who had a high profile, had dedicated everything to it, but not everything goes the way we hope. Not everything, despite planning, training, gets you the outcome that you deserve.
It doesn't. And in fact, one of the things we're going to talk about from a career mobility perspective today and some career transition is something that's been a very hot topic recently. I mean, it always is, but right now it is a tough job market. So job search is what we're going to be sort of talking about today. And really just a reminder about some of the opportunities there are at the moment to really kind of to take action even when it is tough times. And again, the Olympics is a great example because we actually do coach Olympians, sort of what you're never an ex-Olympian, but some previous Olympians and gold medalists at that, who have been on their journey and trained and achieved incredible things. But job search is a one of those things where I liken it to the roller coaster. You have to get in, strap in so you're safe. You have to go on the whole journey through the ups and downs, but you can't get off halfway through. You literally have to see that right through to the end. And as you said, you can't stand in the queue for too long. You have to get on the ride at some point because otherwise, the results don't happen. But even Olympians are challenged with that post, their training days, etc. So it's a very unusual journey, job search, but you have to dedicate yourself to it. And again, work with the village, the coaches, the branding specialists, the connection specialists, etc., within LHH to help you get there.
Yeah, and two things that I particularly take out of that. One, I mean, one of the things I'm really proud of and we get the privilege to do at LHH is work with the
Mm,
Australian Olympic Committee. And
yeah,
so all Olympic athletes, past, present, if you have ever been an Olympian, they have the opportunity to work with one of our programs. And we're getting ready to address the people who come back from Paris
yeah.
to talk to them, because for some, it's just double down again and I'll be back in 4 years. For others, it's like actually 4 years is a horizon too far and I'm figuring out what I'm going to do next. And so
Yeah.
we love the ability to support. Second thing is that discussion point about, anyone who is at the Olympics and does well do well because they utilize all the resources at their disposal. So they
Yeah.
will give themselves high altitude training that give themselves, you know, there are a number of different examples around things that people have gone and done to go that extra mile.
Yeah.
And yes, you know, you never are guaranteed the outcome. What you can do is control as many of the variables as possible to make
Yeah.
sure you're performing at your peak. And that's what athletes do so well. And that's what we'll cover, which is, okay, what does Elite have? What does it offer? Are you using
Mm.
everything you can possibly be using? And then how do you differentiate? Because, yeah, it's a tough job market, has been for, I think people are now really starting to feel it.
Mm.
But the fact of the matter is, it's been a tough job market since the start of 2023, and it's got probably
Yeah.
progressively tougher. And GDP numbers out yesterday aren't going to do much for that in the short term.
Yeah.
It will swing, it always does, but there's still people hiring.
Yep. There
So,
absolutely are.
so how do you stand out from the pack is probably the key topic for today.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are, as you say, there are so many resources to pull on within, you know, first of all, obviously working with your coach to understand what's available to you. Obviously, when you go through engagement, you learn a bit more about the program that you have, but your coaches really can help curate that experience for you and give you that sense of what's available within the CRN. What can you access within there? You know, you do have access to learning, of course, with LinkedIn Learning being in there, which is, you know, an absolute kind of, you know, there's so much information to pick out from that, lots of different courses, and as you start to learn and have conversations and network out in market, you'll start to see the trends of things. Oh, okay, maybe I need to learn more about agile, maybe I need to learn more about lean, maybe I need to learn more, you know, in certain key areas, and you can just upskill and tweak your skill set whilst you're in your program to really move you towards the outcomes that you're looking for.
Yeah, and is it I'm probably going to get this one wrong, but it's, you know, it's either the greatest journey or the longest journey begins with a single step, right? And that single step, when it comes to learning, I get it. Right? I much like anyone who is in one of our programs has logged into LinkedIn Learning and looked at the plethora of different
Yeah.
options, courses, and they're working really hard, to be fair, on making sure that they're curating pathways. And you've just watched this, maybe look at this next, or this is an
Yeah.
extension. So yes, they're working hard on it, but the thing they can never do is get people to make that initial step. And so we talked about differentiation, and one of the things that always stands out to me, and I look at our use rates of these types of tools, and absolutely it's apparent it always will be the case where the individual's connection with their coach should and is statistically the most important element of the program.
Yeah.
But it often astounds me the low use rate of some of the tools, and particularly those who have done any type of learning. And so, just as an example, think of the difference between the person who starts the networking discussion or in a job interview is able to actually talk about a recent investment in learning they've just made versus the person who doesn't.
Yeah.
And that's a standout feature. And I've spent so many years in talent acquisition recruiting people. They're the little points of difference
So true.
that make a massive impact on people.
They do. I mean, it's, as you say, it's just, you know, I wrote an article a few years ago now, post COVID, about, you know, being relevant is the new black. And is that relevance? It's like when you've been studying something, again, you're excited about it, you've got current knowledge. You know, AI is another great topic we talked about last time. You know, all of these things, if you have that inkling to want to learn, you can then bring that to the table in discussions, whether it's networking or, as you say, really importantly, in interviewing, and show that you are current, but keen to continue to learn, which is,
Yeah.
again, something that employers are definitely looking for.
Yeah. And then the other barrier from discussions I've had is it's the feeling that to raise it, you need to know everything about the topic.
Yeah.
It's just as relevant, just as interesting to say, I've started on a journey, whether that's I've only listened to a 15-minute podcast, but it's something that was an
Yeah.
interesting to me, and I did something about it, is just as relevant as in and as important as I've spent 2 months on a learning journey. I feel you don't have to know the ins and outs. You just need to show that you are invested in
Yeah.
improving your knowledge and your learning, particularly on topics that are either of interest to you, and hopefully that aligns to those topics that are also of interest to a potential employer or
Yep.
a person that you're being introduced to and networking with.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, people have asked me, how do I find out what employers are interested in? What are they, what sorts of things are they working on? Again, I always go back to LinkedIn, but like if you're following companies and you're looking at their posts and seeing what they're posting, but also what their people are posting. So anyone that's in your field within that organization, you'll start to get a really easy view of, okay, they're talking about this particular angle on things. Maybe I need to be looking at that. Maybe, that's where I could be relevant. You can be commenting and actually having immediate conversations and tagging people and immediately having those online conversations as well, which is so powerful in today's market. And then when you're reaching out to people, it's not so awkward, which is a good thing.
and so the reflection point for everyone listening is, is everything you've just described, TJ, something that you're currently doing?
Yeah.
Or is it as simple as a scan of the company website, leave it there? I know as much as I think I need to know. Because in my experience, the bulk of responses when you ask the classic question, what do you know about, why do you want to work with?
Yeah.
Insert company name here. Very few of the answers ever extend beyond something that's available on the landing page of the website.
Yeah. So having an angle is a good thing.
Absolutely.
Shows engagement, doesn't it? One of the other things we spoke about was about, like at the end of the day, we know that job search, like I guess becoming an Olympian, can be overwhelming, but it happens in tiny incremental steps. So having those small goals en route to where you're going, including looking after yourself, so important as part of this journey.
Absolutely. So yeah, the journey, and in particular, some of the stories I've loved the most from the Paralympics is
Yeah.
about just taking it one training session at a time.
Yeah.
Yes, there's a bigger goal there at the end of the day, but like it's actually just the ability to do a single thing and succeed at that is part of the recovery journey where someone's gone through a trauma or
Yeah.
is on a pathway to recovery. And so job search is not that dissimilar, right? I think the consistent theme here is, it's that continuing, taking that first step, figuring out what that first step is. And that's whether that's starting job search and getting on the roller coaster and out of the queue, whether that's starting a learning journey, just starting with something.
Yeah.
And there's so many bite-sized things that take you no longer than 15, 20 minutes to
Yeah.
actually start figuring out whether that's something that's of interest, not of interest. Do I need to know more about it? Or is just a 15-minute overview enough to increase my ability to at least say, hey, I understand I'm not an expert on it, but I actually understand a little more about it than what I did a week ago. And
Yeah.
so that incremental thing that you're talking about is absolutely key. And then you build on each one. And every session, when we talk about training for things, every session you get a little fitter, a little faster, a little more skillful, a little more coordinated.
Yeah. It's amazing. I mean, it's when you are on one of those journeys, you and I are both people that are very active and we like to kind of get out there and do things. Being able to see your own progress, the job search journey is like this too. When you look back, which I encourage people to do, there's things that you've achieved, you've met new people, you've experienced new things, you've learned new things. Those are all part of the kind of the muscles that you're building. And you're taking that with you into your next role, because we were talking about earlier, everybody lands. It's just a case of when. And yes, it is a tougher market, and there are lots of resources at your disposal to utilize. So I always encourage people, if you've got any questions, obviously you can reach out to me on LinkedIn anytime. I'm very happy for that. And obviously any questions that you have that you'd like us to discuss in this session, in this format, we are always open to those, aren't we, James? Because we want to provide as relevant and as helpful information in this session as possible, so that you've got that inspiration to keep your tires pumped up and keep a momentum.
Absolutely. And to finish, TJ, I mean, I think just that LinkedIn channel, the amount of information that I see curate in there, everything from inspirational stories on job search, like these are the types of things that it is there, and encourage people really to question post viewing this, how much am I taking up? Yes, your coach should be your central point of contact. Ask them. They know you better than we do, providing more general advice. But please make sure you really challenge them about all of the resources that might be available and relevant, right? Because they'll give you the relevance overlay. But that LinkedIn channel is one. It's a tremendous resource that's available to people. And I think the second one is just the making sure that that we talked about the activity thing. So personally, I love how they do it. I don't know, but in Strava, they tell you about your fitness, the growth of your fitness, and your relevant, and they seem to measure it somehow across multiple activities. Doesn't matter what you're doing.
True.
So we don't have an app for it, like job search, and show your job search fitness is increasing by 2% each day.
Yeah.
But you'll know, each individual will know whether they feel like they're actually improving, trying new things, or are they staying relatively stagnant? And back to where we started, to differentiate is absolutely critical. The tougher the market gets, the only way to differentiate is by increasing your fitness level when it comes to what you're doing, what you're trialing, what you're seeing and doing when it comes to your job search and your networking methodology.
Love it. I love the idea actually of having a fitness app, for job search. How awesome would that be?
we are actually, funnily enough, as a segue, we're actually discussing exactly how we bring that to life for people to be able to utilize in future, because of the fact that it's useful in fitness application. I do think it could be useful in job search. In lieu of me being able to announce that it'll be ready next week, maybe there's another way that people can just reflect, and it could be as simple as, because there's no whiz bang app, as simple as, what new thing have I introduced into my job search methodology in the last week? What have I done differently? And challenge it. One new thing every week you've done, tried, adopted. Get rid of it if it's not working, and then try a new one the next week. That will help you increase your job search fitness.
Love it. Again, because over time you'd see that incremental benefit. It's compounding and getting better and better and better until such time as you land whatever role or whatever pathway it is that you're on. So look, love those insights, James. Thank you so much as always, and definitely look forward to catching up in October.
Yeah, so do I. Thanks so much, TJ.
See you soon.
Yeah, bye.